We are at a turning point in our province, and in the coming days we will be announcing some critical changes to how we manage the finances of our province.
So yesterday, Alberta brought down its new budget. It is the worst budget in Alberta's history. Let me tell you what I mean by the worst. It spends the most in Alberta history. It taxes the most in Alberta history. And it has the largest deficit in Alberta history. You would think that the Liberals are in control, and you're sort of right, because it's a left-wing PCer called Jim Prentice. Now, just 6 months ago, there is no way Jim Prentice could have gotten away with this. He never really had a honeymoon as the new Premier of Alberta because he had so much of the legacy of the party's disastrous few years. It was held in low esteem by Albertans. Very few people were members of the party. There's a whiff of corruption to it. Frankly, the party is far past its best before date, having won elections ever since 1971. People were looking with some hope at the new upstart Wildrose opposition. Wildrose came from nowhere and got 400,000 votes in Alberta's last election, making it the strongest official opposition party in years. It was led by the telegenic young Danielle Smith, who was a true conservative with a bit of a libertarian flavor. They were holding the government to account. There is no way under that scenario that this NDP-style budget could have been brought in. Then enter Preston Manning. Preston Manning of the Manning Center for Building Democracy did something atrociously undemocratic. He had a secret meeting with the members of the Wildrose Party, and he told them to quit being an opposition, to quit being a watchdog for spending in the province and for anti-corruption, just to quit, to betray the 400,000 voters who voted for them, and to get this, to simply merge with Jim Prentice's party. Why? Was Jim Prentice at risk of not being able to pass his budgets as it was? No, of course not. Jim Prentice had a majority then. Now he just has a super majority now. So what democratic benefit could there possibly have been to this merger? I can't think of any other than getting the Conservative opposition out of the way and paving the way for higher taxes, higher income taxes, a carbon tax of sorts on Alberta's gasoline, higher fees, a new so-called healthcare tax, but that's just a lie because it doesn't go to healthcare, it just goes into general revenues. Now there is a myth, I'll call it more than a myth, there is a lie that Alberta's budget problems are because of the low price of oil. Last year oil was $100 a barrel, now it's down to $50. That takes a lot of royalties and taxes out of government coffers, yes, but Ralph Klein balanced the budget when oil was $11 a barrel. Deficits don't happen because of the price of oil. Deficits happen when you spend more than you take in. And during the fat years, Alberta allowed its government services to become super fat. Here's a fact for you. If you divide the amount of money spent by Alberta's government by the number of people in Alberta, it works out to a higher per capita government expenditure than even in left-wing, have-not, wasteful, liberal Kathleen Wynne, Ontario. The problem in Alberta is not the price of oil. The reduction in the price of oil has simply revealed the real problem, which is a government that spends beyond its means. And yet the one thing that Jim Prentice did not do was reduce spending. He's actually spending hundreds of millions of dollars more than last year. I call this the Prentice-Manning-Smith coalition because this budget could not have been brought in without them. This isn't just bad news for Alberta. This doesn't just erode the Alberta advantage. It's bad news for all Canadians because just as Alberta used to be a role model for other provinces, forcing them to become more competitive, well, now Alberta's sliding backwards will allow other provinces to backslide too. Hey, if Alberta's raising taxes, we can get away with it too, other premiers might say. Hey, if Alberta is no longer such a strong economic beacon, we're not under pressure to get our own house in order to keep young, talented people. Yesterday's budget was a disgrace. It could not have happened with a strong official opposition. It is a budget, hand to God, that a liberal government itself would have been embarrassed to bring in. But under Jim Prentice, there's really no more opposition anymore. Democracy is weak, and so the economy is weaker. For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.